Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, as always, as we venture into another critique, a philosophical critique, might I remind you, of democracy and its relative ooginess. But nonetheless, in virtually every Western nation, democracy is among the modern norm for the masses. However, in this eloquent piece, I humbly invite all, if any listeners alike, to take a marvelous and philosophically rigorous tour down the rational examination of such a concept, or of said concept. To start out, democracy is a system of governance and/or government in which a general population exercises its rule through election of representatives, wherein the elected candidates theoretically reflect the majority census of the population in terms of popular vote. In simplest terms, a democracy is a system of governance in which any representative is elected through popular vote. Now, in the US, technically it would be called a democratic republic in that it has a constitutional body. Now, arguably so, if examined under a philosophical lens, one could rationally incur several logical deductions from such a premise. The first is that if the majority of the populace are indeed aware of their wants and wishes and preferences, then arguably one could also ponder the question of why the populace needs a representative at all. If the people know what they desire, then arguably they don't need representatives, since no representative would know their wishes or desires better than any individual within that populace themselves. If the populace doesn't know what it desires, then no external representation is possible, since any representation presented by definition can never reflect the desires of said populace, being that the populace has no idea what it wants from the get-go. The second is the problem of majority rule, which in effect is the supreme rule over others. Although the vast majority of the populace may vote for a particular policy, there still exists a minority fraction of that said populace. One could arguably make the case that their votes and wishes by default would always be meaningless in the face of any democracy, being that their wishes will never constitute the majority. Since their wishes and wants will surely never constitute the majority by definition, then arguably they will always be subjugated by the mob majority rule through sheer force in the form of policy, war, taxation, etc. If one is unable to act in accordance with their beliefs and/or preferences, then any representative or diplomatic discussion of said beliefs or preferences, whether it be verbal, written, or democratic, is rendered as meaningless at best. Generally speaking, most of us understand this concept within the context of our everyday personal lives. In other words, we all make decisions on an individual basis based on our beliefs and preferences, ranging from what we wear, to what we eat, to what we watch, where we live, the things we buy, whom we associate with, and more. Yet, for some odd reason, this understanding seems to escape the void of the feeble mind in the face of any democracy. However, any form of democracy in the minds of the philosophically literate is synonymous to mob majority rule as a tool for both political and personal subjugation. This particular methodology as a means of social organization has great dangers within it. If a given room has a total of 40 occupants, for example, 35 of whom are rapists, and only 5 of whom are not, then suddenly the holy name of democracy or in the holy name of democracy, might I say, a great evil is elevated into a moral absolute under such an irrational premise. Although this is but one example of the dangers, or hidden dangers, might I say, the point is rather mutual. Democracy, unbeknownst to most, is just one of the many manifestations of moral relativism, due to its lacking of any rational and objective methodology for the constitution of truth and virtue. The inherent nature of man, being that of choice, is therefore incompatible within the confines of any democracy, and thus cannot reach its maximal optimization under the subjugation of such disarray. Thank you. Well, that's my basic critique of democracy, kind of right off the top of my head. But let me know what you guys think in the comment sections. Do you agree, disagree, give me any feedback? Please do feel free to sort of voice your disarraying of opinions or concerns and what have we, and please do feel free to elaborate if you so choose. But thank you for watching, and until the next time, take care.